Talented women were disappearing in Detroit, their absences like phantom limbs in the city's struggling art community. First a sculptor known for her controversial installations, then a painter whose urban landscapes captured the city's dichotomy, finally a photographer who documented forgotten neighborhoods. Despite the pattern forming over 6 weeks, not a single headline acknowledged the vanishings, as if these creative voices deserved their erasure from public memory. Aurelio's fine dining glittered with crystal chandeliers and old money, its atmosphere thick with power, privilege, and secrets whispered between courses of lobster risotto and aged wine. The restaurant stood as an island of luxury amid Detroit's struggling neighborhoods, a monument to the wealth that remained despite the city's economic decline. Nicoletta Bianchi sat at table 12, her fingers trembling as she folded her cloth napkin meticulously, her photographer's eye scanning the room while pretending to admire the Renaissance-inspired ceiling murals. Her press badge was tucked safely in her purse, hidden like the bruises beneath her strategically chosen high-necked dress. The maitre d' navigated between tables with practiced elegance, his movements choreographed to appear effortless, while maintaining the illusion that each patron received individual attention. Behind him trailed a waiter carrying a tray of champagne flutes, weaving through the maze of tables toward the private dining section. At corner table 8 sat Theo Salvatore, his tailored Brioni suit concealing the tattoos that marked his rise through Detroit's most powerful crime family. His dark eyes missed nothing, tracking movements throughout the restaurant while he seemingly focused on the business associates seated around him. Nicoletta's heartbeat quickened as she observed the deference shown to the man at table 8, the way conversations hushed momentarily when his gaze passed over them. She recognized him from her research, not from police files or news reports, but from charity galas and economic development committees. The waiter approached her table, his practiced smile never reaching his eyes as he recited the evening's specials with rehearsed precision. His hand brushed against her water glass, revealing a small bruise on his wrist, similar to marks she had photographed on trafficking victims during her previous investigation. Theo's attention shifted subtly toward table 12, where the woman dining alone seemed out of place among the couples and business groups that populated Aurelio's on Friday evenings. Something about her rigid posture and vigilant eyes sparked his interest. She watched the room like someone mapping escape routes. When the sommelier approached with wine recommendations, Nicoletta ordered sparkling water instead, maintaining perfect clarity for what she needed to do. Her editor had rejected her pitch about the missing artists, claiming insufficient evidence and warning about powerful people who wouldn't appreciate the scrutiny. The chandelier light caught the diamond cufflinks adorning Theo's wrists as he excused himself from his associates, ostensibly to make a phone call away from the table. His path took him past Nicoletta's table, close enough that she could detect the subtle scent of his cologne, mixed with the restaurant's aromatic ambiance. Nicoletta's moment arrived when her waiter returned with fresh bread, his movements mechanical, and eyes distant, as if his mind existed elsewhere. She dropped her napkin deliberately, using the retrieval to slide a handwritten note between the folds of the cloth serviette. The words were written in Neapolitan dialect, a language choice deliberate and desperate. Help. 3 artists taken. Auction tomorrow. Riverfront warehouse. Her journalistic instincts had led her to infiltrate deeper than intended, discovering a human trafficking operation disguised as exclusive art acquisitions. Theo returned to his table, just as Nicoletta's waiter collected her napkin, the note concealed within its crisp folds. She maintained her composure while sipping water, her pulse racing beneath the calm exterior she had perfected during years of undercover investigative reporting. The waiter delivered fresh napkins to tables throughout the restaurant, including corner table 8, where Theo sat commanding his small empire of illicit businesses and political connections. When the folded cloth landed beside his plate, something about its placement seemed deliberately asymmetrical. As Theo unfolded his napkin, his expression remained impassive despite the message written in the dialect of his grandparents' homeland, a language he had learned at his grandmother's knee decades before he became the man who controlled half of Detroit's underground economy. His eyes found Nicoletta's across the room, a silent acknowledgement passing between them in the fraction of a second. Nicoletta Bianchi had spent 6 weeks tracking the disappearances that law enforcement dismissed as voluntary departures, talented women who simply moved away without telling anyone. Her apartment walls displayed a makeshift investigation board hidden behind a false painting panel, connecting galleries, benefactors, and suspicious art acquisitions. The parking garage echoed with her footsteps as she hurried toward her car, the evening's dangerous gambit leaving her simultaneously terrified and exhilarated. She had just placed her life in the hands of a notorious criminal, a desperate move born from watching police reports get mysteriously closed and witnesses suddenly recant their statements. Her camera contained photographs of shipping manifests she'd captured while posing as catering staff at an exclusive gallery opening, the documents listing specialty items with coded descriptions and astronomical price points. The numbers aligned perfectly with the dates each woman vanished, their disappearances separated by exactly 14 days. Headlights flashed twice in her rearview mirror as she exited the parking structure, a black Bentley materializing behind her modest sedan, like a predator tracking prey. Nicoletta's knuckles whitened around the steering wheel as she contemplated outrunning the vehicle before recognizing the futility of such an attempt. The Bentley guided her toward the riverfront, not through force, but through persistent presence, maintaining exactly 3 car lengths behind her throughout the journey. Detroit's skyline glittered against the night sky, beautiful from a distance despite the corruption that festered within its architectural marvels. Instead of the warehouse mentioned in her note, the Bentley directed her to an upscale apartment building overlooking the water, its security gate opening automatically as they approached. Nicoletta questioned her decision to come alone, the memory of her parents' unavenged deaths driving her pursuit of justice at any cost. Theo Salvatore waited in the private elevator lobby, his imposing figure silhouetted against floor-to-ceiling windows that showcased Detroit's riverfront, illuminated by moonlight. His expression remained unreadable as he assessed the woman who had disrupted his evening with a desperate plea written in his ancestral tongue. 3 missing artists in 6 weeks, and you're the only person who seems concerned, Theo stated, rather than asked, his voice carrying the subtle authority of someone unaccustomed to being questioned. Explain why you believe I would help, rather than simply make you the 4th. Nicoletta withdrew her press credentials and a thumb drive from her purse, maintaining eye contact with the man who could either become her ally or her executioner. Because these women were taken by the Navarro organization moving into your territory, and because somewhere beneath that Brioni suit is the boy who learned Neapolitan from his nonna while she taught him about honor. The penthouse apartment revealed a different side of Theo Salvatore. Walls lined with first edition books, abstract paintings by local artists, and family photographs displaying generations of connections to Detroit's complex history. No weapons were visible, though Nicoletta suspected they remained within reach despite the civilized setting. The police are compromised. I've traced payments to 3 detectives who closed missing persons reports prematurely, Nicoletta explained, displaying evidence on her laptop while Theo examined her research with surprising attentiveness. These women aren't random victims. They're being selected for their artistic talents. Documents spread across Theo's marble dining table revealed a pattern of exclusive auctions following each disappearance, with artwork appearing under new signatures but displaying the distinctive techniques of the missing women. The trafficking operation disguised itself as legitimate art acquisition, selling both the art and eventually the artist to collectors with specific tastes. Light from Theo's laptop illuminated his face as he accessed information networks unavailable to journalists or law enforcement, confirming Nicoletta's suspicions with resources that spoke to his influence throughout the city. Tomorrow night's auction is real. Invitation only at the Navarro warehouse disguised as a shipping company. Nicoletta studied Theo's expression as he processed the information, wondering what calculations occurred behind those inscrutable eyes that had witnessed both brutality and beauty. Why risk approaching me? Your editor rejected the story, but other outlets might have shown interest. The question hung between them, forcing Nicoletta to confront her own desperate choice, reaching out to the devil she didn't know to fight the devils she had identified. Because sometimes justice requires methods that exist outside traditional systems, and because you're the only person with enough power to challenge the Navarro organization without bureaucratic constraints. Dawn illuminated Detroit's skyline as Theo made calls from his balcony, speaking in coded language while Nicoletta dozed fitfully on his leather sofa, her exhaustion finally overcoming her vigilance. She awoke to the aroma of freshly brewed espresso and the sound of Theo conferring with associates, whose voices carried hushed urgency. My people confirmed your findings. The Navarro operation expanded beyond drugs into human trafficking 8 months ago, Theo explained, sliding a cup of espresso across the kitchen counter toward Nicoletta. They're exploiting a loophole in customs inspection by shipping art installations with hidden compartments. The implications crystallized as Nicoletta reviewed satellite images Theo provided, showing a modified shipping container being loaded at the Riverside warehouse. They're moving the women tomorrow night after the auction. We have less than 18 hours to locate and free them. Theo's lieutenant arrived with additional intelligence, architectural plans for the warehouse, security rotations, and confirmation that the missing artists were being held in a basement level, absent from official building records. The operation's sophistication indicated political protection beyond corrupt police officers. "Why help me?" Nicoletta asked directly, watching Theo coordinate resources with the efficiency of someone accustomed to operating outside legal frameworks. "This puts you at odds with powerful people and disrupts the status quo you've maintained for years." Something shifted in Theo's expression, a momentary glimpse beneath the calculated exterior he presented to the world. "My grandmother wasn't just teaching me language. She survived human trafficking in the 1950s before my grandfather found and freed her, building this family's foundations on her rescue rather than her exploitation." Maps spread across the dining table detailed their approach. Theo's men would create a distraction at the front entrance during auction preparations, while he and Nicoletta accessed the basement through a utility tunnel connected to adjacent buildings. The plan balanced precision with necessary contingencies. Nicoletta observed Theo's organization with journalistic detachment, noting how his criminal enterprise operated with a code that separated it from predatory organizations like the Navarros. His people demonstrated loyalty based on respect rather than fear, suggesting complexities beyond the simple label of mafia boss. "When this is over, I'll need exclusivity on the story," Nicoletta stated, establishing boundaries within their temporary alliance. Names changed, sources protected, but the truth about the trafficking operation exposed without compromise. Theo studied her with newfound respect, recognizing the negotiation for what it was: a journalist maintaining her integrity, even while partnering with someone whose activities regularly appeared on the wrong side of the law. "Agreed, with one condition. You acknowledge that systems sometimes fail the very people they're designed to protect." Surveillance photos arrived throughout the morning, confirming increased activity at the warehouse as auction preparations accelerated. Nicoletta's heart constricted upon seeing artwork displayed that matched the distinctive style of one missing woman, proof of life that simultaneously evidenced exploitation. "I need you to understand something," Theo said as they prepared to depart, his tone deadly serious as he met Nicoletta's eyes. "Once we begin, there's no walking away. You'll see things today that can't be unseen, and learn truths about your city that can't be unlearned." The weight of his warning settled around Nicoletta's shoulders as she checked her camera equipment and secured her press credentials beneath a bulletproof vest Theo insisted she wear. "I lost my parents to a drunk driver protected by wealthy connections. I stopped believing in perfect justice long before today." And Theo's subtle nod acknowledged her loss, while recognizing the shared understanding that sometimes passed between people whose paths to justice followed unconventional routes. "Then let's go free those women and dismantle an empire built on suffering, even if we must use methods your journalism professors would disapprove of." The alliance solidified as they departed the penthouse, two people from different worlds united by a shared intolerance for those who trafficked in human lives. Their complementary skills, her investigative persistence and his tactical resources, created something neither could accomplish alone against the powerful forces protecting the trafficking operation. The utility tunnel stretched beneath Detroit's Riverside district like an underground serpent, its concrete walls slick with condensation and decades of neglect. Nicoletta kept pace with Theo despite her racing heart, the journalist's determination matching the crime lord's calculated precision as they navigated the subterranean labyrinth. Wireless earpieces connected them to Theo's security team positioned throughout the area, their voices providing real-time updates on auction preparations above. 23 buyers confirmed arriving, including 2 federal judges and the deputy police commissioner, reported a voice identified only as Bruno. Theo's expression darkened at this confirmation of corruption, reaching the highest levels of Detroit's supposed justice system. "This explains why your missing persons reports vanished and witnesses recanted. The protection network extends beyond street-level officers." The tunnel opened into a maintenance room filled with outdated electrical panels and water heaters, abandoned during the warehouse's recent renovation that had strategically excluded basement upgrades from permit applications. Theo consulted a digital blueprint on his phone, identifying a service elevator camouflaged as a storage closet. Nicoletta's camera captured evidence methodically, shipping manifests, buyer lists, and modification plans that transformed ordinary containers into human transport vessels. Each photograph documented a system designed to traffic human beings, while maintaining plausible deniability through art auction facades. Their first confirmation came upon discovering a makeshift studio in the basement's west wing, canvases displaying half-finished works matching the distinctive styles of the missing women. Paint still glistened wet on some pieces, proving the artist remained alive and working under duress within the building. Security monitors revealed the auction's sophisticated operation, champagne-sipping patrons examining artwork, while armed guards maintained positions throughout the warehouse's main floor. A separate screen showed 3 isolated rooms, where exhausted women painted furiously under supervision, their work collected hourly by handlers wearing latex gloves. "The primary holding area should be beyond that reinforced door," Theo whispered, indicating a steel barrier requiring keycard access and biometric scanning. "My contact in the building commission confirmed it was installed without proper permitting, disguised as an HVAC upgrade." Nicoletta recognized one of the auction's organizers on the security feed, the same gallery owner who had dismissed her inquiries about the missing artists with practiced concern that never reached his eyes. "That's Preston Walker. He handles acquisitions for multiple galleries downtown, including the venues where each woman last exhibited." The electronic lock surrendered to a device Theo produced from his jacket pocket, its small screen cycling through access codes until finding the combination that triggered the mechanism's release. The heavy door swung open to reveal a climate-controlled chamber designed for art storage, according to the signage. Horror replaced investigative detachment, as Nicoletta beheld 3 women confined in separate glass enclosures, living displays treated as exotic acquisitions rather than human beings. Each space contained essential art supplies, a narrow cot, and cameras monitoring every movement while recording the creative process for authentication purposes. "They're selling the entire package, the artist and exclusive rights to all future works," Nicoletta whispered, her voice tight with controlled rage as she documented the scene. "The buyers aren't just collecting paintings, they're purchasing people with price points determined by artistic potential." Recognition flashed in the eyes of the captive women when they spotted Nicoletta and Theo, hope warring with fear as they registered potential rescue rather than additional threat. The youngest woman, barely 23 according to Nicoletta's research, pressed her palm against the glass partition, her fingers trembling with exhaustion. Theo's security team confirmed the distraction was ready. A controlled delivery truck accident, blocking the warehouse's main entrance during a critical supply arrival. The timing would force security to temporarily abandon their posts, creating the window needed for extraction without casualties that would attract unwanted attention. The women emerged from their glass prisons weak but determined, the oldest among them supporting the youngest, as Theo led them toward an emergency exit connected to the service tunnel. Nicoletta collected final evidence, ledgers documenting previous acquisitions, stretching back 18 months, revealing a trafficking operation far more extensive than initially suspected. Daylight seemed impossibly bright as they emerged from the tunnel network into a waiting vehicle 3 blocks from the warehouse. The rescued women huddled together in shocked silence, their ordeal leaving visible marks beyond the physical bruises that documented their resistance and subsequent conditioning. Nicoletta's journalistic detachment fractured as Fiona, the youngest artist, described being drugged at a gallery opening where her work was featured, awakening in the glass enclosure with instructions to continue producing or face consequences. The clinical cruelty of the operation chilled Nicoletta more than outright violence might have. "They monitored our styles to ensure authenticity," explained Margot, the eldest at 34, her voice steady despite the tremor in her paint-stained hands. "Any deviation resulted in punishment. No food, no sleep, or threats against family members they had thoroughly researched." Theo's safe house occupied the entire floor of an unassuming apartment building in Corktown, its security features concealed behind tasteful decor and architectural details that masked surveillance equipment. Medical personnel awaited their arrival, providing immediate care while respecting the women's fragile psychological states. "The auction's been postponed, not canceled," Theo informed Nicoletta as they watched the women receive treatment. "Walker made an announcement about shipping delays affecting the special collection. They don't yet realize the merchandise is gone." The investigation board in Theo's study expanded with each piece of evidence they organized: photographs, financial records, and testimony from the rescued women revealing connections to similar operations in Chicago and Toronto. What had begun as a story about 3 missing artists had uncovered a multi-city trafficking network protected by officials who received either financial compensation or special access to exclusive collections. Nicoletta's fingers hovered over her laptop keyboard, the journalist confronting an ethical dilemma regarding her story's publication timeline. Immediate release might warn the perpetrators, while delay could allow them to escape justice or relocate their operation. Theo watched her internal struggle with unexpected understanding, recognizing the collision between journalistic integrity and tactical necessity. They'll destroy evidence the moment they suspect exposure, Theo cautioned, his criminal expertise providing insight into self-preservation tactics employed by organizations with political protection. Your story needs coordination with actions that prevent their escape. Timing becomes everything. Rain pelted the safe house windows as night descended on Detroit, the city lights blurring through water-streaked glass, while Nicoletta compiled her exposé with meticulous attention to detail and source protection. Each paragraph constructed a prosecutorial narrative supported by evidence that could withstand legal challenges from powerful defendants. The atmosphere between Nicoletta and Theo shifted subtly during their shared vigil, professional alliance evolving as they witnessed each other's unwavering commitment to dismantling the trafficking operation. His criminal expertise complemented her investigative skills, creating an unlikely partnership forged through mutual respect rather than convenience. Why choose journalism when you clearly possess skills suitable for law enforcement? Theo asked during a rare, quiet moment, genuinely curious about the fierce determination that drove Nicoletta to risk her life pursuing justice through words rather than badges. The question penetrated Nicoletta's professional armor, touching the personal motivation she typically kept separate from her investigations. My parents died when a drunk driver crossed the center line. The driver's uncle was the county prosecutor who buried evidence and reduced charges to a misdemeanor. Understanding dawned in Theo's expression. Recognition of the moment when institutions failed and forced alternative paths to justice. So you chose to become the voice for those silenced by corruption, using investigation and exposure rather than authority that could be compromised. The women slept under medical supervision, while Nicoletta and Theo constructed their coordinated response. Her exposé would publish simultaneously with evidence delivery to federal authorities, whose jurisdiction superseded local corruption. The timing required precision to prevent evidence destruction or witness intimidation before arrests could commence. Theo stood silhouetted against the rain-streaked windows, his customary armor of detachment temporarily lowered. My grandmother would recognize herself in these women, talented, determined, stripped of freedom by those who viewed her as property rather than person. Morning brought confirmation that the traffickers had discovered their missing merchandise, initiating a frantic search that revealed security breaches in their warehouse operation. Theo's surveillance network reported emergency meetings between Preston Walker and his political protectors, discussing containment strategies and contingency plans. They're accelerating shipments from other locations, Chicago and Toronto collections moving within 48 hours, Theo reported, as his lieutenant delivered updated intelligence. They're cutting losses here and consolidating resources before your story breaks. Nicoletta's editor remained skeptical despite the mountain of evidence she provided, his reluctance raising red flags about possible connections to individuals named in her investigation. He's stalling for legal review, while questioning my methods. I need an alternative publication pathway that can't be blocked internally. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Margot revealed her brother worked at a rival news network with national reach and editorial independence from local influence. One phone call established a secure communication channel and publication commitment, once evidence verification completed. Walker's people are searching for the women. They've accessed hospital admission records and police reports seeking treatment matching their descriptions, Theo's security chief reported, confirming the trafficking organization's desperation. Their recovery represents financial losses exceeding $8 million based on auction pre-sales. Federal authorities received anonymous evidence packages delivered simultaneously to multiple offices, bypassing local channels compromised by the corruption Nicoletta had documented. The coordinated approach prevented interception while ensuring multiple agencies possessed identical evidence sets that couldn't be easily suppressed. Nicoletta's story took final shape. 5,000 words of meticulously documented investigation, revealing the trafficking operation's mechanics, political protection, and international connections. Each claim stood supported by evidence ranging from financial records to testimony, creating an airtight narrative impossible to dismiss as journalistic speculation. I've arranged secure transportation for the women to a recovery facility outside Detroit, Theo informed Nicoletta, while reviewing security footage showing Walker's associates canvassing neighborhoods surrounding the warehouse. Their families will be notified once federal protection is established. The crucial 48-hour window narrowed as Walker's organization accelerated their containment efforts, dispatching cleaners to sanitize the warehouse, while financial handlers initiated account closures and asset transfers. Each desperate action further confirmed guilt, while providing additional evidence for eventual prosecution. Theo's unexpected softness emerged during quiet moments with the recovering artists, his respectful distance and unwavering protection revealing dimensions beyond the criminal profile Nicoletta had initially researched. Despite commanding an illicit empire, his fundamental disgust toward human trafficking manifested in tangible compassion. "We found records of 27 previous acquisitions dating back 3 years," Nicoletta revealed after analyzing ledgers recovered from the warehouse. Most were transported internationally within weeks of capture, sold to collectors in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. Tension mounted as publication deadline approached, Nicoletta's determination unwavering, despite death threats delivered to her former apartment, where police, coincidentally, failed to maintain surveillance. The warning, a canvas splashed with crimson paint, communicated clear consequences for her investigation. Theo discovered the compromised apartment before Nicoletta could return, redirecting her to the safe house while his team swept for surveillance devices and traps. His protective instincts surprised them both, concern extending beyond tactical necessity into genuine worry for her safety. "Why risk everything for a story when you could simply walk away?" Theo asked during their final review before publication, genuinely curious about the courage that drove journalists to face dangers without weapons or armies protecting them. "Your editor abandoned you, law enforcement is compromised, yet you persist." The question hung between them as Nicoletta finalized her exposé, the answer emerging not from professional obligation, but personal conviction, shaped by past injustice. Because someone needs to stand witness, to say these women matter, this corruption matters, and truth matters even when systems fail those they claim to protect. The story went live at exactly 6 a.m., simultaneously published across 3 major outlets with coordinated social media distribution that overwhelmed attempts to suppress its spread. Nicoletta watched from the safe house as her investigation dominated news cycles, trending worldwide within hours. Federal raids commenced by noon, targeting warehouses in Detroit, Chicago, and Toronto, with precision that prevented evidence destruction. Arrest warrants named 27 individuals including Preston Walker, 2 federal judges, and the deputy police commissioner. Public response exceeded expectations. Citizens gathered outside police headquarters demanding accountability, while arts organizations established support systems for recovered victims. The collective outrage transcended political divisions, uniting communities around fundamental human dignity. Fiona received news that her sister had organized a nationwide search during her captivity, refusing to accept police dismissals about artists seeking inspiration through travel. The emotional reunion occurred via secure video call, tears flowing freely. Nicoletta's professional triumph brought personal danger, as Walker's associates remained at large, their resources substantial, despite frozen accounts and seized assets. Theo enhanced security protocols around the safe house, rotating personnel and establishing counter-surveillance. The unexpected betrayal came from within Theo's organization. His accountant Pavel, compromised through gambling debts to Walker's operation months before the investigation began. The betrayal revealed itself through subtle discrepancies in security rotations. Pavel's treachery culminated in coordinated attacks against the safe house's security infrastructure, power outages followed by communications disruptions that isolated the building from Theo's broader protection network. Emergency protocols activated automatically, but crucial minutes elapsed. Nicoletta recognized the tactical approach from previous investigations. Isolation preceding extraction, standard procedure for recovering valuable assets before they could provide testimony. Her journalistic instincts shifted to survival mode as she gathered the women. Theo remained externally calm despite the betrayal that threatened everything they had built, his tactical mind processing contingencies while directing remaining security personnel to defensive positions. The controlled fury behind his eyes revealed the personal nature of Pavel's betrayal. "They're coming for the women as witnesses, but you're their primary target," Theo informed Nicoletta as they secured the panic room, his voice steady despite the deteriorating situation. "Your story exposed too many powerful people who face prison." Walker's extraction team breached the building with paramilitary precision, their equipment and tactics suggesting private military contractors rather than common criminals. Night vision technology neutralized darkness advantages, while tactical communications coordinated their methodical sweep. Theo's remaining security team engaged the intruders with disciplined resistance, creating crucial delays while avoiding fatal exchanges that would attract law enforcement attention through gunshot reports. The strategic defense bought valuable minutes as reinforcements navigated city streets. Nicoletta accessed emergency communications channels through specialized equipment in the panic room, broadcasting their situation to federal agents who had protected the rescued women's testimony. The response promised intervention, but estimated arrival times suggested delays. Pavel's betrayal extended beyond location disclosure. He provided override codes for the safe house's secondary security systems, allowing the extraction team to bypass defenses designed to withstand precisely this scenario. Barriers failed sequentially as the intruders advanced. The extraction team's leader delivered his ultimatum through the intercom system, his voice mechanical through tactical gear. "Surrender the journalist and witnesses, or we breach with maximum force. Your choice, Salvatore." The countdown began. 30 seconds to decision. Theo's response came not through words but decisive action. A pre-programmed security protocol activated by his personal authentication code that flooded specific building sections with impenetrable smoke while triggering emergency lighting. The tactical advantage shifted momentarily. Nicoletta guided the women through concealed maintenance passages revealed by emergency lighting, their path following evacuation routes unknown even to Pavel's comprehensive betrayal. Theo covered their retreat, his movements displaying combat training beyond typical criminal enterprises. The maintenance tunnels connected multiple buildings within the city block, a security feature Theo had implemented years before when acquiring the property through shell corporations. Each intersection presented decision points marked by subtle indicators. Federal intervention arrived with unexpected support. Theo's Lieutenant Bruno had maintained independent communication channels with authorities throughout the crisis, providing real-time intelligence that enabled precise tactical response. SWAT teams converged on the building complex. Walker himself directed operations from a command vehicle 3 blocks away, his presence confirming the operation's importance and the existential threat Nicoletta's investigation posed to his organization. Surveillance photographs captured his frantic communications. The women reached the extraction point, a medical transport disguised as commercial delivery vehicle waiting in a service alley connected to the tunnel network. Bruno supervised their transfer with efficient professionalism, ensuring each woman received immediate medical attention. Nicoletta refused evacuation, her journalist's commitment to documentation overriding personal safety concerns as she photographed the federal intervention that validated her investigation's findings. Each image captured accountability in action, Walker's private contractors surrendering. Theo found her documenting the scene instead of retreating to safety, his expression mixing exasperation with reluctant admiration for her professional dedication. "You've established your journalistic credentials beyond question. Perhaps consider survival as your next investigation topic." The federal operation expanded beyond the immediate crisis. Simultaneous raids targeting locations throughout Detroit, where Walker's organization had established operations disguised as legitimate businesses. Arrest teams executed warrants against protection networks extending into city government. Walker attempted escape as his extraction operation collapsed, abandoning his command vehicle for predetermined evacuation routes established for precisely such emergencies. His retreat ended unexpectedly at an intersection where Theo's associates awaited, not with violence but with federal agents. Pavel's capture occurred 3 miles from the safe house, his attempted border crossing interrupted by coordinated law enforcement response based on Theo's intelligence sharing. The betrayer found himself facing both criminal prosecution and the knowledge that his duplicity had strengthened alliances. Dawn illuminated Detroit's skyline as the operation concluded, federal custody securing both trafficking victims and perpetrators, while evidence collection teams documented crime scenes with meticulous attention. The city awakened to news broadcasts detailing corruption networks exposed through unprecedented collaboration. Nicoletta watched from temporary FBI headquarters as her investigation results materialized in arrest processing and victim services coordination. Each woman rescued from the trafficking operation received protection, medical care, and family reunification support funded through seized assets. "What happens now?" Nicoletta asked Theo as they observed the operation's aftermath from a secure observation room, their unlikely partnership reaching its logical conclusion. "Your organization exposed. My investigation complete. We return to opposed sides." The question acknowledged the fundamental differences in their worlds, criminal enterprise versus investigative journalism, while recognizing the unexpected alignment that had developed during their shared mission. Neither could return unchanged to previous perspectives after witnessing both failure and redemption. 3 months after Walker's arrest, the federal prosecution presented overwhelming evidence during preliminary hearings that prompted multiple defendants to seek plea arrangements rather than face trial. Their testimony further expanded the investigation, connecting trafficking operations across 5 cities. The rescued women established a foundation supporting trafficking survivors through art therapy and vocational training. Their personal trauma transformed into advocacy that prevented others from experiencing similar exploitation. Fiona's first public exhibition since her rescue featured work processing her captivity. Nicoletta's investigation received journalism's highest honors, recognition accompanied by publishing contracts and speaking engagements, focused on human trafficking awareness and institutional corruption enabling exploitation. Her methodical documentation established legal standards for evidence collection. Federal protection programs relocated the women most at risk from remaining trafficking network elements, providing new identities and opportunities to rebuild lives shattered by captivity. Their testimony, preserved through depositions secured before relocation, ensured prosecution continued regardless. Theo's organization underwent transformation, following Pavel's betrayal. Security protocols restructured, while legitimate business interests expanded through strategic investments in Detroit's ongoing revitalization. The criminal enterprise evolved toward legitimacy without abandoning its fundamental code. Detroit's arts community established enhanced security practices for exhibitions and events, implementing protocols designed by former trafficking victims to protect vulnerable artists from exploitation. Gallery openings incorporated buddy systems, transportation security, and verification procedures. The former warehouse where women had been imprisoned transformed into a community arts center through foundation funding, its renovations symbolically reclaiming space once dedicated to exploitation. Art therapy programs operated alongside exhibition spaces featuring work by emerging artists. Nicoletta maintained journalistic distance from ongoing prosecutions, her professional ethics requiring separation between advocacy and reporting, despite personal connections to the case. Her follow-up investigations examined trafficking networks nationwide, uncovering similar operations protected through corruption. The unexpected continuation emerged 6 months after Walker's arrest, when Theo contacted Nicoletta regarding suspicious acquisitions at exclusive galleries in Boston, displaying familiar patterns. His message arrived through secure channels established during their previous collaboration, evidence rather than accusation. Their second investigation began cautiously, professional boundaries clearly established, while acknowledging the effective partnership they had previously formed against exploitation. Theo provided financial intelligence, while Nicoletta applied investigative journalism techniques that had previously succeeded. Federal authorities maintained formal distance while establishing unofficial communication channels, recognizing the unique effectiveness of their collaboration. The hybrid approach, criminal intelligence combined with journalistic investigations supported by federal resources, created accountability mechanisms resistant to corruption. Nicoletta discovered their working relationship had evolved into something undefined by conventional categories, neither friendship nor purely professional alliance, but mutual respect between individuals whose different worlds contained unexpected common ground. Their shared commitment transcended philosophical differences. Detroit's renewal continued as corruption networks collapsed under federal prosecution, communities reclaiming neighborhoods previously controlled through intimidation and political protection. Theo's legitimate businesses participated in economic development programs establishing sustainable opportunities in former criminal territories. The final trafficking network prosecutions concluded with sentences reflecting crime severity, decades rather than months, assets seized rather than fines paid, systemic change rather than symbolic punishment. Walker received multiple life sentences without possibility of parole. Nicoletta and Theo maintained their unconventional alliance, neither fully trusting existing systems nor each other completely, yet recognizing the effectiveness of their combined approach toward justice that conventional methods failed to deliver. Their relationship defied simple definition, adversaries who sometimes aligned. Thank you all for following this story. If you're enjoying it, write in the comments where you're watching from, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video, as your support is important for me to continue here.